Man, this really sucks. It doesn't actually show here whether you read the books or not. I'll try to remember which ones I read, but honestly I do not have much confidence in that. Alright, let's read some books. It's reading books with Goodlike time. The Temerian Special Forces. The creation of these formations began. It turned out that shitty... What? You can't even make sentences. Oh my god. That shitty shield bearers are as good at fighting the mobile Scoia'tael units as a knight's saddle on a pig. The first special forces were formed by King Demavend, and they were commanded by the infamous White Raila. Oh, I remember that. Their effectiveness went hand in hand with cruelty and ruthlessness in their battles with the squirrels, and their hatred to non-humans usually extended, mildly speaking, beyond professional spheres. Elves from the units had equally strong enmity towards them, and the clashes between the partisans and the special forces were always extremely brutal and bloody. Besides fighting the Scoia'tael, the Temerian Special Forces carried out a variety of other dangerous tasks, justly earning their reputation of effective professionals. Alright. The feudal society and its enemies. Scoia'tael is a name used by the rebels fighting for non-human freedom. In a common tone, it means squirrels. As some would have it, it is because of squirrel tails that adorn the rebels' caps, or from the forest board they had to survive on. Scoia'tael formed units over a score strong, consisting mainly of elves, yet sometimes dwarves and halflings too. During the last war against Nilfgaard, the Scoia'tael fought on the side of the Empire, making diversions and great damage beyond our lines. Despite the provisions of the Peace of Sintra, many did not disarm and continued to fight, especially when it turned out that Nilfgaard sacrificed them in the name of peace, and gave the unit's leaders to the Nordlings to be executed. What a bunch of assholes. Well, what do you expect? I think I read the Annals of Macaham. This is the thing, I don't know if I've read this or not anymore. Because there's so many of these books, and I've read some long time ago. Blood of Elves. Elves of Ainsade, as they call themselves, are the folk known for their beauty and longevity. Or longevity, whichever you prefer. Their sages, scholars, and artists were all at the fore of their fields, creating real, breathtaking masterpieces. The glory of this elder race is long gone, however. After a series of bloody conflicts with humans, their cities were ruined, and the elves themselves were forced to retreat to the east, into unapproachable mountains, or to recognize human domination and accept their lot. Years of wars, persecution, and mutual enmity created a rift between our races. Many elves saw a chance of winning freedom in the last war against Nilfgaard, so they took up arms, creating the partisan groups of Scoia'tael. Though they managed to secure the creation of the partially independent realm of Dol Blathana, some feel they were deceived and still wage war on humans. Shame. Drowner, the textbook for initiates of the Order of Flame and Rose. Sometimes drowned men return as monsters to haunt the living. Tormented by their own deaths, they seek to murder others. They prefer to draw their prey underwater. As their victims drown, they tear them into shreds and consume them like soggy biscuits. Such creatures are called drowners. They are numerous on the banks of the Pontar, as this large river, with regular shipping and riverside villages, provides them with ample sustenance. Oh man, There's tons of drowners everywhere. They're like the common enemy. Oh, yeah, we read about the Neckers. I remember that. Oh my! It's the book you've been waiting for. Of trolls and trolling. According to the legend, trolls were born of the earth, and their bodies made of rock. They fear and despise sunlight, which kills them by turning them into inanimate stone. So they only prowl at night. So much for legends. What is the reality? Well, as always, the truth is far more mundane. Trolls are living creatures like you and me, and they prefer day to night, for they are so clumsy they stumble over stones in the dark, spilling the vodka they cherish so much. Their skin is indeed hard as stone, but beneath it there are muscles and a heart that pumps blood. Given that they bleed, they can be killed. This was very little about trolling at all. Rites of Middeity. Middeity, or Midsummer, is the day of the summer solstice and marks the beginning of the first month of summer in the Elven solar calendar. Elves believe that all things under the sun occur in cycles. After Middeity, the days grow shorter and the dying commences, to last until the winter solstice. Summer shrines erected on this day give praise to the sun and life, while acknowledging death's certain. Spells that protect living things and draw power from the sun's heat are particularly strong near these shrines. Witches use them to bless crops and summon fire. Wait, what? Why would you bless crops and then summon fire? Doesn't that defeat the purpose of blessing crops? Or does it bless crops against fire? But what's the point of summoning fire if you've already blessed it against them? Do you like burn off the insects? I guess that makes sense. Okay. Even godless witches bow before summer shrines to augment the intensity of their signs. These are very similar to our pagan rituals of the past. The Arachis study. Arachnids are lone hunters. They patiently lie in wait for their prey in order to kill it with one swift strike when it appears. The same is true for the Arachis, a huge creature that took a liking to the riverside forest, becoming their undisputed king. As ruler thereof, the Arachis will not share its territory with any other hunters, witches included. Oh, spiders scare me. Oh look, the Kairan, also known as tentacle kraken fish. I'm sorry, kraken tentacle fish. I keep messing up the order. The Kairan stands apart among all creatures large and small, beautiful and horrible. It is unique, unlike any other being. Doubtless it is a post-conjunction creature that appeared in our reality in the time when the world was in the Mind Guild. It made its home in the waters of the Pontar, where it lives to this day. Over the ages, the chronicles mention several instances of the Kairan appearing on the river's surface in various places. He stole many ladies that day. Oh my god, I figured it out. That's where all the elven ladies went. The Kairan got them. There is no certainty if these mentions apply to one and the same creature slowly moving up or down river, or to the original creature's progeny seen here and there. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. Life and Death of the White Rose. The story of the one known as the White Rose of Sharved is both sad and tragic. Over 200 years ago, Aeliren led elven youth into a hopeless fight against humans. This heroic dash could end in only one way. They died for freedom, for stone and marble of their cities, and for Aeliren. Just as she promised, they died with dignity, heroism, honor, yet elves could not rise again after their defeat. However, she remains a symbol of fighting for freedom to this day, and elven insurgents go to battle with her name on their lips. I think we read more about that in the first game. I think I've read about the realms of Nordlings, yeah. The Valley of Flowers. Yeah, I read about this as well. 3 years among the Endregas. Endregas are forest creatures that resemble arachnids. They are especially fond of floodplains, as moisture and tall grass suit them. Longer than they are tall, they move about on all fours and are extremely difficult to spot as they lie motionless, awaiting their prey. Like Kikimors, Endregas are divided into castes, with warriors being most numerous, guards being less common, and queens being a real rarity. These monsters, like arachnids, hatch from eggs. Impregnated queens lay the eggs in cocoons which hang from trees in areas known as nests. The lesser creatures zealously guard their queens as colonies depend on them for survival. The queens themselves remain hidden, caring little for what happens to other adult specimens. However, when their nest is threatened, they emerge swiftly and fight ferociously. Thus, to exterminate an Endrega colony, one must set fire to its cocoons to draw out and kill the queen. That sounds like some tips for an upcoming battle. Set shit on fire, kill the queen. Gotcha. Briotis, a forgotten god of the Ponta Valley, is still worshipped in certain forest settlements, but the times of his greatness and popularity are long past. A few priestesses and witches make offerings to him, yet no common folk wish to take part in the rites. In the era of human colonization, Briotis was a guardian god, often associated with rivers from which humans drew benefit. He guarded people from the dangers of the forest, such as trees, spiders, floods, and more trees, and dragons. Yes, poles bearing his likeness marked the border between areas that had been tamed and those that remained wild and dangerous. Briotis gave people fish, made sailing easier, and his name was used to ward off beasts. I can now imagine somebody just coming up to this bear and saying, Briotis, 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 and the bear's just like, fuck this shit, I'm going home. Yet he remained petulant and fierce. In these times, if those wandering through the woods came across stone idols with gaping jaws, they believed them to be the likenesses of fierce monsters rather than statues commemorating a once-loved deity. Deity. Yes, sorry. Well, we met a god-like being once. I guess if we see statues, we'll know they're not monsters. Gotta make sure I remember that. Wraiths are not, as some claim, the outward manifestations of an inner fear. They are visible, tangible, and dangerous on top of that. According to the teachings of priests, those who died suddenly without completing their tasks in this vale of tears become such specters. Wraiths have their own names. Sometimes they remain unaware of them, but more often than not, they pursue their calling without the slightest regard for the living. Why would you care about living if you're dead already? No, I wouldn't. Anyway, that concludes the Reading with Goodlike and Geralt segment. I shall see you later.